I love it. There's no awkward walk of us running up the stage. It's just boom, we're ready to rock and roll. All right, welcome everyone. This is going to be probably my favorite session of the day, not because I'm moderating, but because we have two amazing leaders from two very excellent companies. So, first person I'm going to introduce is Godard Abel. He's the CEO and co-founder of G2, the world's best business software review site. If you're not on G2, you are A, missing out on a ton of customers, and B, there is such a great community of software buyers, and being a part of G2 has honestly tripled our business. So honestly, if you're not on G2, you're not building out your profile, absolutely get on it right away. Next, we have Ledergor, who is the CMO at Gong. At this point, what isn't Gong recording? You guys are the world's leading revenue and customer interaction intelligence platform. I can't tell you the number of times that people are dropping Gong calls inside of our channel of amazing conversations. So really love what you guys are doing, and welcome. Today, we are here to talk about how you guys have built billion-dollar organizations with customer success at the center. Very two great perspective. We have a CMO and a CEO, so two similar spectrums, but sometimes on the opposite ends. But before we get to that, let's start with a few icebreakers so that the crowd can get to know you guys a little bit. So maybe we'll start with you, Udi. What is one of your New Year's resolution for 2022? And have you actually kept up so far?
I'm terrible with New Year's resolutions. I don't even set them. I'm not a believer in them. That's the honest truth. I just like with feedback, I don't believe in annual performance reviews. I believe in constant feedback. I believe if you want to make a change in your life, you just have to do it and be consistent about it. So whatever it is, in the last couple of years, I've been spending a lot more time playing the piano. I've just converted the commute time now that we're all working remotely, and I've been playing the piano more than I had in the past 10 years. And in the last 60 days, I've been practicing my Spanish on Duolingo. I've been doing that every single day. Like I said, I'm not a big believer in big resolutions. If you want to do something, just do it and stick to it.
I love it. On that note, Godard, what is your New Year's resolution? And if you have any, have you been following it? And I plan to give mine, obviously.
Yeah, no, and I am working on my inner engineering, actually inspired by Sadhguru, working on my mindfulness, joyfulness. And I think one of the things he recommends is that every night before you go to bed, 3 hours before you go to bed, you stop eating and drinking. And so I said I wanted to do that, but I still find myself many nights having a glass of wine or eating some chocolate much closer to bedtime. So I'm failing on that front.
If you learn how to stop eating and drinking for 3 hours, teaching your ways, a wise one.
There is nothing wrong with drinking a glass of wine before bedtime.
Thank you.
For me, Udi, I'm very much like that. I don't want to set goals I can't keep up with, but I always try to do it. There's always that new year, new me feeling, and the number one thing that I go for this year is I want to make sure that I'm spending time with my daughter at all moments. She just turned 2 not too long ago, and you blink, they're changing every single day. And for me, it's like, all right, anytime I'm spending with her, no phone, no Slack, no nothing. I don't care if investors are emailing me, no questions about it, because I just don't want to miss that time. So really appreciate you guys doing that. So one last question. What is a hobby that you guys have taken on in the past year during the pandemic that you are super passionate about and you encourage others to do the same?
Go ahead, Godard.
One that I picked up during the pandemic is uphill skiing. And I was somewhat fortunate when the pandemic first started. We went on lockdown. I was up in Lake Tahoe, up in the mountains.
Did you say uphill skiing?
Yes, uphill skiing.
This sounds like Peloton to me, but go ahead. Sorry.
How is that even possible, Godard?
Yes, but sadly I was in Tahoe that weekend. Well, I was lucky to be in Tahoe, but they had amazing snow to dump powder, and they shut down all the lifts. And I was super frustrated. I'm like, I want to get out there and ski. And then I was talking to some locals, and they're like, "Oh, wow, you can uphill ski." And what that means is you get these skis with they have Nordic bindings on the way up, and then you switch them to Alpine on the way down, and you put a skin on them on the way up so you don't slide back, and you can skin straight up the mountain. And I started doing that, because the lifts were closed, but I loved it. And it is like getting a Peloton workout, but being outdoors and getting a great downhill ski run. So it's something, those of you that are in the mountains, I highly recommend.
Won't work so well in New York City, but Udi, go ahead.
Well, I've already given away mine. It's been the piano for the last couple of years. I recently upgraded my piano and been spending as much time as I can on the ivories.
All right. Well, I'm embarrassed to share mine, but it's only very recent. It is online sports betting. I know that's crazy, but they just legalized it in New York City. So yes, I watch a lot of sports. It's my only way I'm unwinding. And honestly, my wife is not thrilled that I'm betting on sports, but it is what it is. So, all right, on that note, we have uphill skiing, we have pianoing, and we have gambling. Let's move on to the actual topics of what people want to learn about. So, Godard, we'll start with you. How do you, in your role as CEO, drive a customer-centric culture throughout your company? Especially as the leading representative community where people seek to learn about companies that have the highest success rate of their customers. What do you do to ensure that your entire organization is very much customer focused?
Yeah, and we are all about customers and voice of customer. That's why we started G2. And frankly, we wanted to shift the enterprise industry. Back in the day, we were beholden to Gartner and analyst opinion. And we wanted to make it all about the customer, the real user, giving them a voice. So we're all about that. And so what we also do to encourage that too, we do drink our own champagne, eat our own dog food, but we do encourage our marketing customers. And thank you, Udi. I know you're a customer, but you can write reviews of G2 right on G2. And so we do take customer feedback very seriously. We measure NPS, for all of our own products. And then, like I said, we also encourage our customers to write reviews so that we really live, by their customer voice, and we take it to heart and aim to keep getting better.
Yeah. And, one of the things that we do at Callus, and it's very similar to eating our own dog food, is we have a channel called Bringing CS to the Center. It's our mission, but, we have a bunch of channels. We have a Korean barbecue channel. We have a food channel. We have baking channel. But the one channel that you automatically get subscribed to when you join Callus is Bringing CS to the Center. And it shows anytime customers talk about us on social, when they give us a good NPS feedback or negative NPS feedback, or when they complain through a support ticket. All of that comes into the channel, and every single person in the organization, it doesn't matter if it's engineering or product or marketing, is in this channel. So really like that you guys, dog food your own tool and your own message.
Okay. Do you feed your G2 reviews in there? I know you already have 157 good ones.
Wait, that's the next step. Plus writing you guys a great review, but I'm sure the marketing team hearing that is right on top of it. Udi, I know one of Gong's core philosophies is creating raving fans, and I think it's undeniable that you guys have done by far the best job of that. Why was this a core value of the company? And for the crowd that's trying to learn, myself included, can you share some specific strategies that you guys have done to create raving fans? Because you've created them and they're out there screaming your praises without you prompting them. And I'm sure every single CS team here is listening intently.
Yeah, happy to share. I mean, this is something that we find very, very basic. We can't think of a better center of focus for an entire company than creating raving fans. And everything we do, whether it's the product that we build, the amazing CSMs that take care of our customers, the content and thought leadership that we put out in marketing, the entire sales process, everything is looked at through the lens of how do we create raving fans. I'll give you a tiny example from this morning. We had a random discussion about our referral program, and one of the parts of the discussion was that there are too many steps for a customer to give us referrals. We have so many raving fans, they want to refer their friends to us, but the process is complicated today. And the discussion was around how do we make this easy for the customers, make them raving fans and give them a raving fan experience. And if that means that we have to jump through 7 hoops and forms and do some manual work in the back end, that's the way we want to do it, and not be constrained to systems that make the customer work hard to make it easier on us in the back end. And I think a lot of companies just forget that balance. We are here for the customers, not the other way around. We have to make it easy for them. They have to understand what's in it for them, and then make it super easy for them to get that. I'll give you one more example. Many marketing campaigns send out emails with links that look obviously automated, because there's no easier way than tracking an email when there's a link on it, right? Click here to schedule some time with me, or click here to fill out a form, or click here to download a piece of content. But that's not how you would write your friend or your mother. You would never give them a link to click here, mom, to schedule our lunch, or click here to find out this thing that I want to tell you about. So why would you send those emails to prospects? Make it harder on your ops team to measure the emails. But if you want someone to register for our next event, the easiest email that we use, here's a big secret for all you event organizers. Every quarter we run an event, and the first registration email is a personal email. It is automated, but it's written in very personal, approachable language. And guess what the CTA is? It's not click here to click a button and fill out a form and waste all your time. It ends with the question, are you in? And guess what? Every time we do that, we get hundreds or thousands of people to respond, yes, I'm in. And that's it. We got 1,000 registrants on day one without anyone having to fill out a form. Just make it easy for your customers. And if all you do is worry about create raving fans, the rest of the business will pretty much take care of itself.
And Udi, that example, when they just reply yes to email, you guys do that in the back end then?
You know what? I have no idea how my team does the magic, but they do it. It actually works. And we figured out how to send these emails on behalf of our executives and other people without them getting all the flood of their inboxes with the out of office and responses. That goes back to the marketing team, and they deal with that in the back end. My team are magicians. I don't even know how they do it, but it works. And that's how we register people for our events. We ask them, are you in? After telling them all the goodness that's going to come. Of course, they'll say, I'm in. Boom, you got your first 1,000 registrants.
Well, I can tell you there's a bunch of people in the comments that are probably tracking your team down and trying to ask them what the magic is, because that does sound very...
Just sign up for our next event. Don't worry about that.
Okay, cool. So, and first of all, I love that you keep things simple. That is honestly the secret formula to a lot of things, right? Like a simpler user experience, simpler workflows. There's always a lot of value in just getting people in first and then creating the value after they've come on board. So I love that. Udi, let's stay with you. I think a lot of times customer centricity is thought of as something that is owned by customer success and customer support. But the whole point of today is to show people that it's everyone's job, that CS sits at the center of the best organizations. How do you make sure that the marketing organization has a customers first mindset versus just focusing on getting new prospects, which obviously is a very important function, but putting your customers that you already have at the center is truly the foundation for the best businesses out there. And then love to hand the floor over to you, Godard, after Udi.
Yeah, so I could talk about, more about the general idea of creating raving fans, but I think maybe the audience will benefit more if I give a couple of tactical examples. So Gong is known for our thought leadership content. We've been running the Gong Labs series for 5 years, which shows sales professionals everywhere what actually works in sales. And the standard to which we hold our content team is content so good that people will pay for it. Now, what do I mean by that? We're not actually opening a revenue stream. I'm not in the business of selling content. I'm putting out fantastic content with my team so that people are attracted to the brand, and when they're ready for a revenue intelligence platform, we're the first one that comes to mind. Now, every couple of months, we actually get an email from either a college professor or an enablement manager somewhere asking how much it would cost to license this recent piece of content that they read from us because they want to use it in a sales course in their college, or they want to train their entire team on it. When we get one of those emails, we celebrate as a team, and we said, we hit another one of those moments that we put out content so good that people are willing to pay for it. And when you have that mindset, and every piece of content that we put out there, we're thinking, is this something I would consume? Is this something I can see people paying for? And if not, then go back to the drawing board, because if all you're doing is talking about your amazing new version 2.1/4 and the latest feature that nobody except your product department cares about, you're not really providing value. You're not creating a raving fan experience. So strive to create content and experiences that people are willing to pay for. Would people pay to come to your event? If you have to bribe them to come in, maybe there's something wrong with the content that you're setting up. So that's how we think about it.
Well, we didn't charge anyone for this event, but I'm not sure I want to try. I'd like to think everyone came here because they wanted to learn from the best leaders, but I love that. Godard, as a CEO of a company, as myself, going from 100 to 200 people, I'm already swarmed. You guys are approaching 1,000 soon, I'm sure, and I don't even know how you do it. So what should CS leaders and the audience who are scaling rapidly from 100 to 500, 500 to 1,000 know about when preparing information quickly for a CEO to digest? Your schedule is so busy. You're running all over the place. You're traveling, but you need to know what are the most important things that are important for your customers. How can you as CEO help the customer movement? What do you ask your CS leaders for, and how is it packaged up to you for the CS leaders that are looking to scale into that, be better at preparing for the C-level executives?
Yeah, I'd probably say the most important thing is to be clear on your want or your ask. Like, what do you want me to do? And I think a lot of people kind of miss that. They might give you like a 6-paragraph preamble. So like, hey, what do you want me to do? And they're like, hey, can you please nudge this customer? Like they haven't been engaging. Here's the message. I'd say just get right to it, and then I can do it. It's like, that's kind of on simple ask. And I do communicate with a lot of our customers. I love doing it, but just make it easy for me, right? Ideally, it's like a forwardable email blurb that I can just send, and great, I'll do it. I'm happy to help. And then I think on more formal topics, we also have every week we have deep dive topics at our senior leader meeting. And those, if it's a more strategic topic, it might be customer strategy, one of our CSM leaders. And then I would want them to do more. My first job was McKinsey, but then more of a McKinsey style. And I think the big thing in McKinsey style executive communication is go top down. Start with a good executive summary. Like, hey, here's the key context, here's the key point, and here's my key ask that I'm going to come to at the end of the presentation. And then each slide, I think what I always love is just like 1 to 2 sentences. What's the so what we used to call it in consulting, right? What's the so what? And what's the key ask if there is one? So I just think being really clear, what's the key message and what do you want, and getting there as quickly as possible, I think is great for all communication, but especially with executive communication.
Yeah, I love that. And for the folks that Slack me every day, the ones I respond to first are always the one that's like, right to it. Can I get this from you? And for the folks out there, like if you're reaching out to, doesn't matter, anyone on the C-level exec, CMO, COs, COO, the best way to get their attention is get right to the point, because we're reading hundreds of things, and we just want quick, zippy package up things so we can help you. So I love that. Shifting gears a little bit, from personal experiences at Catalyst, part of creating an incredible customer-centric culture is being a people-first culture yourself. How you treat your employees, how you lead through empathy, how you create the best team culture has ripple effects to how your employees actually treat the customers. If your employees are pissed off all the time, they're obviously going to treat the customers pretty poorly, and it's going to translate. So as leaders in the toughest time in our lifetime, arguably, I mean, I'm sure there's others, but at least for me personally, this is one of the hardest 2 years ever in the time that I've been alive. What are some ways that you guys have supported your team to help them feel their best so that they can support their customers in the best way possible? And Udi, maybe we can start with you.
Yeah, happy to. It's an ongoing debate in the last 2 years that's never over. Earlier today in our management meeting, we're again talking about looking at the current situation being prolonged far more than we ever imagined, and what more could we be doing for the team. Here are a few things that I work on with my leadership team for marketing, and some of these things we do across the company. We over communicate, and we make sure everyone understands how their work rolls up to a bigger purpose and cause and goal, so that everyone knows how to prioritize their work. I think we're in this age of distributed work. We're not all sitting in the office with the boss looking over the floor and knowing what everyone's doing and tapping people on the shoulder. You can't do that in a remote world. So everyone really needs to be built up for independence, given as much autonomy as we can. I don't care when people clock in and clock out. I never cared when we were in the office. I care even less now that we're home. One of my team members regularly writes me emails at 1 and 2 a.m. because he's a night owl, and that's fine. He doesn't expect anyone to respond, and I don't expect him to respond when I'm emailing him at 7 a.m. because I know he's fast asleep. So A is over communicate, make sure people understand how their work rolls up to a bigger goal. 3 is respect these flexibilities. People are going to be working different hours. I mean, my team has people in 5 geographic regions, 2 of them outside of the US, including Dublin, Ireland, and Tel Aviv, Israel. So we don't even work the same days. They work on Sundays, we work on Fridays, and we have to learn how to work together. So we learn how to do a lot of asynchronous work, which means if you can send me a quick video explaining something in 2 minutes rather than finding 30 minutes for a meeting, which is going to be much harder, send me the short video and I'll respond with any questions if I have. Learn how to work with Google Docs or any other collaborative environment where we can share ideas and come to resolutions without having a meeting about every single thing. And then the final thing I would say is just keep it personal. You know, when we were in an office, we used to be able to chat during coffee breaks or take a walk between meetings and catch up on people's lives. So make a point of doing that in your meetings now, because that's what we have. So if I'm starting a one-on-one meeting with one of my direct reports, I'll always start with something not work related, like how are the kids? How was your weekend? How was that vacation? How's your mother's health if I know she was sick? Just keep it personal and show that you still care, even though we're all in these little boxes now looking at each other on a screen. There's still human beings behind all of these boxes. And they need that empathy and they need someone asking how they're doing.
That's great. Godard, what about you?
Yeah, no, I love all the things you said, Udi, and just building on one of those. One thing we do with our senior leadership meeting every week, we actually start with we call it a conscious check-in. I have a conscious leadership coach, Sue. She leads that. And it's always something not necessarily work-related, but just how are we feeling? You know, what are our personal goals, growth? And so we actually dedicate the first 15 minutes of the meeting to that. And I do think that really helps build connection. And one other tactic we started doing during the pandemic is we now offer, we always had unlimited PTO, but then people were also like, oh, I don't know when to take it. But we started doing aligned PTO. And for example, between Christmas, New Year, a lot of companies did that, but we totally shut down, obviously, except for critical customer care and infrastructure people. And I think people really appreciated that, because there's so much stress right now in everyone's lives that truly having time where they don't have to respond to colleagues was really valuable.
On the personal development piece, does every single leadership team member go around the room and talk about what they're working on, and you have somebody facilitating that?
Yes. So, I have a conscious leadership coach, Sue Brunner. She's terrific, but she works with me and the whole leadership team. And also at our office, we take a lot of time just for feedback and things that aren't directly work related, just personal growth. And I do find that obviously it's enriching personally, but it also makes us tighter, more aligned as a team. And so I love taking the time for that. And I do love having a coach, not just for me, but for our team. And her whole job is to make sure we're being authentic, we're not withholding from each other, and that we get more connected. And it's been a wonderful experience.
That's really cool. And speaking of the aligned day at Catalyst, we have a monthly Catalyst mental health day, and very similar to you, people don't know when to take vacation. So once a month, there is a Friday where we actually force everyone to take time off. Everyone's on the same page. No one's emailing each other. So it tends to work out really, really well. Thank you so much, Karen, for that comment. We do have a comment for you, Udi. It's generally we get questions, but Maureen said they would like to make a suggestion for Gong, a new target market, recording for help desk. Rarely does an internal IT org have a customer mindset. So is that something that's coming up? Are you going to give a quick preview to your guys' roadmap on this call?
I will say that the use cases for Gong, we're seeing our customers getting very creative and expanding them every day. So about half of our customers now use Gong for customer success teams because they found that it aligns them with the whole sales process that the customer went through. And when they need to escalate things to say product or support, they can do that by having all the customer voice recorded in its raw format and can easily use the snippets and whatever they need. And we're seeing folks use Gong for really creative uses, like recording interviews in a way that respects the privacy of everyone in the process, but they're able to cut down on the number of interviews by sharing those internally with what would have been additional interviews. So there's so many different use cases that it's blowing our mind, and we have to be very selective about which ones we want to focus on and really productize them to make them accessible to a broader market. So thank you, Maureen, for another great suggestion.
Yeah, and we're a Gong customer, and we do use it for all our customer calls, whether it's a prospect or a customer. And my favorite feature, Rudy, is just you can just listen to the customer on a call, because frankly, like we all tend to know what G2ers are saying, but if I just listen to the customer executive like 4 minutes out of 60, I feel like I was in the meeting. So
I love that you said that. I wish I had that in real life, that you could tune out someone in the conversation.
Yeah, and especially I think this whole event is about the customer, right? But I think that's the power of just being able to listen to the customer, share a customer snippet, and it gives us all more customer empathy.
That's a great
Thanks
call.
for sharing.
Another question for the both of you. Have you guys seen, I'm going to generalize more a little bit. Have you guys found that different groups within your organization sometimes clash? And are you ever able to give some examples? The one example that was given is, does the marketing team and CS teams ever clash when marketing team likes to talk about a feature that's not yet released? Have you guys seen examples of that during your journey from nothing to the growth that you guys are? And how did you guys get everyone back to being customer first instead of clashing between different departments?
Godard, go ahead.
I can go first. And I think for us, what was hard is going from that entrepreneurial stage, where you're kind of all a family, a tribe, 10, 20, 50 people, everyone knows each other. And I think at that stage, it's also really easy to be customer centric because everyone, frankly, hears the customer call, knows what's going on. What was hard for us was probably when we hit about 300-400 people, and we still had a lot of the same leaders that were incredible entrepreneurial leaders. But frankly, they were less focused on alignment. We had very aggressive, for example, entrepreneurial sales teams, but they just want what they want, right? And I think so. One thing I did do over the last couple of years, I brought in more seasoned leaders, I would say, more experienced, new chief product officer, new chief revenue officer, and frankly, they're all about alignment. And frankly, sometimes as an entrepreneur, maybe like it feels too slow for me, but they just spend a lot more time making sure they're aligned between product and sales. And now I brought in new CMO, Amanda, as well. And so I have found to do this at scale has taken bringing on new leaders that are just by their nature a little bit more patient and more willing to align and spend time with each other. And so I do think that's been an interesting learning for me is you have to slow down a little bit and find leaders that naturally will spend more time aligning themselves and their teams. I think that's critical as you get bigger.
That's really great advice. Let's quickly switch gears real quick because we have about 15 more minutes and quite a bit to cover. What are some ways that Gong and G2 help your customers shine in their successes? I think one of the best ways in creating a customer-centric culture is spotlighting customers, not just the account, but spotlighting down to the end user. So by creating that happiness, you show the external community just how to successfully use your product and your services. And you also show your internal team that, hey, we actually have, the work that you're creating is truly making an impact. So can you guys talk about some ways that how you guys have created and spotlighted and highlighted the successes of your customers?
I'm happy to take this first. There are a few things that we're doing. A lot of them led by our customer marketing team. It's an amazing part of our marketing team. And for years now, we've had a customer advocacy program where we take customers who have a great story to tell and we make them the hero of the story. So we shine the light on them. So first of all, internally, sometimes their organization doesn't know all the hard work that they're doing with the help of Gong to better their organization. So we help them showcase that story. And of course, we use that on our channels, sales channels, marketing channels, CS channels, to show other customers with similar business problems that they're looking to solve, how this customer did a fantastic job solving that. So it can be anything as tiny as a testimonial to a full-fledged video or written case study telling the customer story of what the business problem was, how they came across Gong as a solution, how the deployment went, and what the results of that deployment look like. So that's one way that we're doing it. Another way that we're elevating our customers is with the Golden Gong Awards. It's a tradition that we started a couple of years ago, and every year we give out the Golden Gong Awards for organizations using Gong and solving real business problems in really creative ways. And customers have been loving them, and they're sharing their awards, and you can tell that they're proud. We can't make them share it, but they share it on their social channels, and they're proud of them internally. G2 does a fantastic job of this with their quarterly reports and tags and badges. I think G2 is a great model of how to elevate your customers and get them to share your brand by elevating them with recognition and awards. Other things that were just launched recently is we have a champions community where we let those really fanatic Gong users who want to talk to each other, we've given them a community to talk to each other and to find opportunities to elevate their stories and how they're using Gong for their business success. And we're giving them a bunch of opportunities with incentives to do that with their peers in user groups, out there in social media, on referral calls that we can incentivize them for. And we make sure we're not abusing any customer more than they want to be contacted for these uses. So I recommend those as some starting points.
One of the things that really stands out to me is that you guys actually dedicate dollars and budgets to highlight people for their work that they do. And a lot of times when you're rolling out Gong, or when you're rolling out G2, or when you're rolling out Catalyst, it's hard for your own team because they take you for granted on the things that you're doing for the organization. So when you guys are spotlighting them through a case study or a video that they can repurpose that back to their team, that's truly incredible. And Godard, what about you? Obviously, the badges that you guys do is unbelievable. I mean, I actually want to label them on my sweater underneath so that they not only see Catalyst, they see all the awards that we're getting. So beyond that, what are some other ways that you guys, spotlight customers that help them come in? Oh, there you go. I did not pay Ben to do that. Ben, what are you doing?
Love that.
Well, there's people watching this.
Yeah, I will. Maybe I'll need to send you that sweatshirt. But and we're still trying to improve that game. We're about to launch our Best of 2022 awards in February, and we think we can keep making it better to help you guys. Because your recognition, Edward, is also because you do have 135 great reviews, right? That's how you became a leader. So we're trying to amplify that customer voice flywheel even further. And I thought everything Udi said was great. But maybe just to add one tactic we're doing, a lot of you are probably already doing this, but we have our fiscal year kickoff in February. And we are starting with customer videos, just sharing their appreciation. And our theme for kickoff is inspiring love. And we're just having, G2 customers share how we inspire love for them, why they love G2. And I think that's just another nice tactic to really get your team fired up by hearing from a lot of your customers at kickoff.
Udi, a quick follow-up question from Susan. Are the awards public or just directly to the customer?
No, they are very public. Yes, these awards are public. We have folks submit their use case of Gong ahead of time, usually a couple of months before we sit as a committee and go through them. And then we recognize the customers on social media. We give them a lot of love. We send them some goodie bags. And we're looking for even more ways of incentivizing the customers who are really making these shining examples of how to use revenue intelligence. So I think it's a missed opportunity if you don't make these awards public.
Yeah, and one thing it does make me think of, one of my role models as an entrepreneur is Mark Benioff, but he's always done that right here in San Francisco. They put Salesforce customers on placards, and maybe Udi, you've been on one, but they're like, here's why Udi loves Salesforce. I made that up, but they really have always done that, and I think now their whole mantra about trailblazers and really making their customers the heroes, right? Their customers are using the Salesforce platform to blaze a trail. And I think the more we can all do that, right, really highlight, we're just enabling our customers, right? We're all giving our customers tools, but it's really about them and them being the innovators, them being the heroes. I think it's just by far the most impactful way to market.
Yeah, if you've ever seen a Dreamforce session where they bring up one of the trailblazers, the emotion that they show in their eyes, in their face, of being awarded for a tool that they dedicated their careers to, that is just unbelievable advocacy when individuals that don't even work for your company are getting that emotional about the implementation of their tool. So Godard, that was a really, really great example. Speaking of all the hard work that CS teams drive and a customer-centric motion drives, it obviously ends in improved net dollar retention. Godard, have you seen, given, you're connected with a lot of CEOs, you're connected with a lot of companies, have you seen that be the new benchmark driver for valuations versus top line revenue growth? Like what have you seen in your time in the venture community market and talking with CEOs?
Yeah, no, I do think you could almost say NRR is a new ARR. And I think we're all in SaaS businesses, right? Our businesses traditionally were very much valued on ARR, annual recurring revenue, and the growth of that. But I do think now, and Snowflake, I think, really raised the bar. I think Snowflake, obviously one of the most successful IPOs.
170, I think.
Yes, 170 NRR. And I think, and frankly, we're not at 170. I wish I was. But they've really raised the bar. But I do think now VCs, we actually also have an emerging business. We sell our data to VCs because they're trying to use that to help them score companies, inform which companies they want to invest in, because investing's gotten much more competitive. But I do think that, when you're pitching them, I think at the margin right now, I'd rather reduce my ARR and ARR growth and have a higher NRR, because that feeds a lifetime value. And I think now with the Snowflakes of the world having shown that, it can actually drive much more valuation than just ARR growth.
So you guys are the reason that I'm getting an increase in the amount of VC cold calls, is selling those reviews. But thank you. Yeah, I think right now is a really good time for it. And when you said NRR is the new ARR, I think you probably can't hear the rounds of applause that's happening to the 1,500 people that's described to this, because that's truly the shift. We are now seeing that the retention of your customers, the sentiment of your existing customers, your ability to grow organic revenue from the customers that you already have is much more important than going out there, and less expensive than going out there to get new sales. So really love that, we're seeing the shift, and it's really great for everyone in customer success.
I agree. And I would guess over time, and you guys might have data, but I'd almost see there's going to be maybe fewer sales BDR, right, and more customer success, because I think more vendors recognize that, right? Like, hey, let's just land with a basic product, and then let's overwhelm them with customer love, and then let's grow them.
Yeah, as customers, as companies like Gong accumulate a really strong user base, definitely there's a lot more emphasis on how we take care of those customers, because we know that a growing and major part of our future revenue depends on those customers staying happy, making renewal a non-issue. And the only open question is how big and how fast they can expand with us. So definitely that's where the focus moves to, from the BDRs and new business sales motion, which is super important. And companies like Gong that are still growing at triple-digit rates every year, there's still a really, really strong new business motion. Don't get me wrong. But I can definitely tell, I've been at the company for over 5 years, that the shift has really moved over from just worrying about how do we get new business to how do we make sure these are the happiest customers on earth. We can see that in how the team sizes are growing, and where the technologies are going, and what the meetings are about.
Yeah, and I'm also curious, Udi, for you as a CMO, do you see CMO targets shifting? Obviously I think every CMO has new pipeline, new logo targets. Do you also now see yourself, other CMOs kind of having upsell targets?
100%. I carry them, and members of my team, some of my team members only carry expansion and renewal targets and don't worry about new business. Because I mentioned we have a pretty large and growing customer marketing team. So this is a call out for all customer marketers. We are hiring. Our wonderful customer marketing team is growing, and they don't worry about new business at all. They only are working with the CS team, and they're working with our dedicated customer growth teams on the sales side. Those are I call them the holy trifecta of customer growth. So we've got sales, CS, and marketing teams that are only focused on customer growth and leave the new business for other teams. And I think that's a way to manage it really well. It's not a side hobby for anyone. There are hundreds of people at Gong that this is their full-time job.
That is super cool. And I think for those people in CS that eventually want to move into marketing, it's great to know that there is a dedicated function in marketing that is responsible only for retention. So that is really, really cool. All right, we're going to close out with one question, since we only have 4 minutes. Both of your companies are obviously doing incredibly well, but every C-level exec has their annual goal that they need to achieve and where they want to be better at. We're obviously, everyone's big fans and heard a lot about your guys' company. So for each of you, what is the number one goal that you guys would like to accomplish this year professionally for the organization that you are leading?
I'll let my good friend here, Godard, go first.
Okay. And I would say, and it's our theme for Kickoff, inspiring love. And I know also for me as a leader, like sometimes I don't do a great job of that, because I probably like a lot of entrepreneurs, but I tend to be excited about the idea. I'm like impatient, just get it done. And I'm not always kind to people and not always empathetic. And I think especially now, we have over 600 people, and talent is our number one constraint, probably like for both of you as well. And I do think really being more conscious about being a more inspiring, more loving leader, I think can have even more business impact than, me coming up with a new brilliant product idea or, but really about inspiring love, really taking care of the team. I want to get a lot better at that this year.
I love that. We're moving into an age where empathy has to be even stronger, because you can't even see if I'm happy or sad sometimes through the screen. And I think a lot of times the fact that you can even recognize that that's something that you need to work on is super hard for a lot of people to even admit. And I think we can always and all get better at being more empathetic, being able to put ourselves in someone else's shoes, and putting the business sometimes second, and being more human centric in every aspect of our leadership approach. So I love that, Godard. Udi, what about you?
Mine is related, but a little bit different. Seeing the company grow from 15 employees to about 1,000 now, and my team grow from one that was me to 40, moving on to 80 this year. One of my biggest challenges is, how do we keep it as fun as it was when we were 5 people around a desk? And that's becoming increasingly hard due to the size of the team, the size of the company, the pace of the business, and of course, being distributed and remote as we are. And the second part of that is, how do we keep it fun, but also manage to move almost as quickly as we did when we were 5 or 15 people? Because Edward, you might still think that if you only had 100 more people, everything would move so much faster. But here's a shocker. It's not. It's all going to slow down, painfully so. And it happens within my org. It happens as the company. And I'm sure Godard is smiling because he feels the same. The more people you have, the more coordination meetings you need. And those people are having rehearsal meetings before the coordination meetings to make sure that they're presenting on a unified front, and just everything is painfully slow. And again, what I call slow, other companies might still call light speed, but it's not the speed that I was used to 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. And so trying to find ways of both keeping it as fun in a new way as it used to be, and as fast as it used to be, with totally different processes and systems and checkpoints that we need now, and program managers and coordinations that we never needed, but finding the way to keep things moving quickly and keeping it fun for everyone.
Udi, I love that. And I think it doesn't matter what stage you're at. Having fun is probably the most important thing in every aspect. My only comment is the adding more people to move faster part. My team members who are begging me for headcount are probably throwing rocks at their screen and trying to hit you right now, because they need those people. But I do agree that at some point in time, things start to slow down significantly. So thank you for that advice. Alrighty, we are at time. Thank you guys so much, Godard and Udi. Wonderful session. I'm sure everyone learned a lot from you guys, and we're so thankful that you guys are willing to carve out time from your very, very busy schedule to chat with the world. So thank you guys so much, Ben.
Thank you for having us.
And that was fun. Thank you, Udi. Thank you, Edward.